Nils Jørgensen's from Denmark, but lives in Iceland, where he fishes many different rivers each summer all across the big North Atlantic island. We'll join Nils on a number of these rivers, where he'll show us how to fish under very different conditions on the Icelandic rivers. He'll show his different strategies, techniques, flies and the tackle he prefers. Altogether, experiences and knowledge that will catch Atlantic salmon anywhere in the world.
Ja. You. Looks like a freshly roasted grills. Ah, perfect. Yes.
Nils is fishing a variant of the classic fly Sunray Shadow. It's a simple and effective fly. He's fishing the fly without adding any movement because the water temperature is quite low. The fly should swing across slowly.
I don't pull it, I don't strip it or anything. The Sunray Shadow, it's very alive in the water. And I don't want to go like this with a rod, because many times when we can see the fish down the water, the fish actually have the fly in the mouth, but then you pull it out. Unless the fish take it very hard. I don't like this technique on a river like this with this kind of fly. But the technique can work when you fish with more bulky flies like the Icelandic snelda, which is not a fly with a big wing that needs a direction to fish. It's more like a stiff fly, and he will just, if you let the fly sink backwards, he will just go like this. Instead of the Sunray where the body and the wing, if you say this is the wing here, the body will go down when you let it go, and it will look like this in the water, and it's not my experience, it's very effective for catching salmon. We're going to talk a little about what we call line mending. When we fish classic downstream fishing, we need to mend the line sometimes, either to get speed on the fly or to slow it down. Here we have a steady current that will pull the fly in. The line will simply be pushed by the current and carry the fly all the way in. The fly needs to move in a certain speed in order for the fish to get interested in it. When we cast him over, you can see, if I don't mend him now, the line is going to go down in the head of the fish first. And what we want to come to the fish first is a fly, so we need to straighten the line out. I lift my line and I cast him across, and then I mend the back of the line. And I even let it sink a bit before I start to fish it. Now the fly is starting to fish and the line is straight towards the fish. And I move the rod tip towards my own bank in order to get the fly to fish all the way in. And now when it starts to hang, the drift is over, I can start to strip the fly in a bit to keep it moving. If I want the fly to fish deeper, I can even cast more upstream, like across here, and mend it even more up. And now I give it loose line, the fly is sinking. I mend it one more time, the fly is still sinking. And now I tighten the line, and it starts to fish now. And now it's really going deeper, the fly. And it's fishing all the way in, and when it starts to slow, I move it here a bit with my fingers to keep it alive, because many times the salmon actually take when it comes in my own bank. I can also make it fish slower on the surface by casting more downstream, like this. Now it doesn't get any time to sink, and it's moving right away. I mend the line a bit inwards now to keep the speed up on the fly. Mend inward again on the back of the line only. The water here is quite cold, so I have chosen to add a sink tip to my floating line to get the fly further down to the fish. In the end of the line I have a sunray shadow variation called the HKA sunray, which is very light and I believe will make a lot of turbulence and really get the fish to take. So we're going to do our classic downstream fishing, cast over the current and let them swing in. And I'm going to strip the line in front of this drop off, which is quite deep, and it's most likely the fish are going to lie here. So this is what we're going to hit up now. Right now I'm doing quite short casts, and this I really like because I have a very good feel with the fly. I can easily control it how I want it to fish, compared with having a long line. I can feel the fly working now. And when I can feel it stops moving, then I'm gonna start stripping the fly slowly to keep it moving. And there was definitely a fish hitting it there. Now it's a good thing to be a bit patient. Not cast right away. Give the fish a minute or two. If it sees this fly again right away, it will know it's the same thing. But giving it 1-2 minutes, I've often had the fish. Get him to calm down again and then do the cast and maybe he will take. Here we go. Short line, I can feel the fly working.
But the fish doesn't take the fly, at least not straight away.
Yes. That's joy. A bar of silver.
cast under these conditions is not easy and never elegant. Nils is struggling to cast into the strong wind.
Yep. Yeah! Woo! This is a big fish. And this fish, he takes just 2 meters off the bank. Oh, God. Ah. Dead. Ah! Yes.
A fantastic salmon, 104 centimeters and 11.6 kilos.
Yes! Well, sometimes amazing things do happen in fishing, and this is definitely one of them. We have been fishing in this very hard wind and cold rain today, and it's really tough circumstances. After putting on a sink tip and a small jog scott size 6 double hook, and just casting a little off the bank, let it come in and stripping him slowly. He just took like this from the bank. It really shows it pays off to work. And when you have worked and you get a fish like this, it's just all the wet, the cold, it's forgotten.
The day after, Nils continues to fish the same fly, using the same technique. It's still a struggle to cast into the strong headwinds.
Yep, yep. Yoo-hoo-hoo. in this very heavy winds and constant endless rain. It's only 5 degrees. And having an Atlantic salmon rise for a small fly in this weather, that's simply fantastic. It's a nice size fish. Deep water all over the place. Is coming. Yes! It's a big female. Great morning here. Lots of cold wind, 5 degrees and constant rain. But anyway, I just had this beautiful fish of 90 centimeters in these circumstances. This has been a morning where I put on the sink tip and a small jock scot fly. There are 2 holes here, one here and one close to the bank, and the fly was fishing all the way in, and when it came close to the bank I just moved it soft 2 times. Hard work, but it's really worth it. But I'm gonna continue to see if I can catch one more. I've just seen a fish jump right down along the bank here. Medium-sized fish, and I've been trying to catch him on my usual small flies here, but I haven't had any reactions. So I'm gonna go along with a local fly, which is not particularly one of my favorites, but I'm gonna trust the local experience and put on what they call the sneddarp here, which is a quite heavy fly. See if we can drag him up and get him to take this. Yo! Classic. Yes. Perfect grills.
Nils prefers to fish small flies or very lightweight flies in the surface, but there are exceptions.
Like today, I've tried fishing my usual small flies and I've seen a fish I didn't get. Then I changed and to a big fly, which I normally don't use. I stepped outside what I normally would do, and it actually paid off. er der fisk? Ja. Well, this is a serious jar. Nice and fat. Sea run jar. We're sitting here in a canyon pool in River Jökla. As you can see, it's quite calm water, but still we have a steady current. It's very deep, so there are a few options to get the fish to take here. There's a hitch, and then there's a HKA sunray.
The fly is once again a variation over the sunray shadow. It's weighted to fish a little deeper, but this pool is deep, so the fly will never touch the bottom.
But with adding a little speed with my fingers, I can probably get the fish to rise from 2 meters of water all the way up and take it aggressively. I've chosen to fish it with a switch rod, which is something in between a double hand and a single hand, which I both can spay cast and use as a single hand, which I think suits these kind of rivers very good. So we're going to cast him to the other side and let him come in to our own bank while we move it a bit with our fingers to make him really provoke the salmon. And this, I believe, will do the trick. Yes.
This was the last shot of the show.
You almost killed my rod, the damn thing.
Be careful.
Nils is facing tough conditions out on his first day here. It hasn't rained for a long time and the river's relatively low, which often makes it hard to get the salmon to take. In low water, the salmon gather in the deep holes and prefer places with a good current from a waterfall or more narrow parts of the river. Nils tries a traditional downstream swing in the deep pools, and he tries surface fishing. But the temperature's too low for the salmon to rise to a hitched fly. He catches no salmon on the first day. It's a cool day and the river is still low. Nils has changed tactics and is fishing upstream with a small weighted fly. He's slowly approaching the deep hole behind the rocks.
Ja. Yo. Good stuff. Ja, tak. So today I made a new tactic, and that was to upstream fish. This has a big advantage that the fish won't see me because I'm approaching them from the back. If they have the face here against the current, I come from the back and I will cast over them and let the fly coming down towards them. Compared with I'm fishing with a hitch, I stand up here and the fish, he can see me. And in these conditions, they get so easily spooked off. So by going behind them and casting above with a weighted fly, that made the difference now. The fly I chose for this was a micro snelda. I'm happy with this little, not nice looking fly. The rod I'm using for this kind of fishing it's actually a trout rod. It's rather soft in action. And this is because of I have to go down in a very thin tippet line here in order to not spook the fish in the shallow water, and it's crystal clear. So I'm down in 0.24 millimeters, and by having a stiff rod it will be a problem when I hook up the fish because he can easily break the line when he jumps. But here there's so much bend in the rod, so you lose way less fish in this sort of setup. The only problem with this, it's more difficult to cast with the weighted flies, but you don't need to cast far in a river like this. It's more about making an accurate cast and fighting the fish, landing them safely. So this is why I use a 6-weight trout rod for this.
Nils fishes the same pool again, but this time with a larger and heavier fly.
Ja. Ja.
Later in the day, at a different location. It's obvious that the deep pool under the small waterfall is holding salmon. Nils fishes upstream with the small, heavy fly.
Yeah, got him. Yes. Yes.
Right after catching a salmon from a pool, the other salmon will often be hard to catch shortly after. Nils tries again, but from a different angle.
Yeah, yeah. Got him.
The weather is cool and the water is a little murky from the rain last night. Nils begins with a downstream tactic.
Yeah, yeah. Got him. Got him. Good fish. Good size. This feels very good. This is a 7-weight switch rod. And he's under quite good pressure from this guy. He's shaking his head a lot. He doesn't like this. Here comes my friend Peter, right on time. This has been hard work today. There's so many fish all over, I just can't catch them. Oh, this is a good size female. This is a good fish. $86.
86.
That's a nice female.
Well done.
Tack för det. Well, I just landed a beautiful female salmon here, and I ended up with a Francis conehead fly after trying quite a few smaller flies. I saw the fish, but they didn't really take. But then got the fly a bit down, and beautiful result. 86 centimeters female Atlantic salmon. Yeah, got him! Ah, fuck, man! Big again. Yeah. Ah! Piss. Ah! I'm fishing here in the famous Downstream pool, which is one of the pools in Iceland who have the biggest amount of salmon in a very small area. I've seen a very big fish here, and there are some smaller ones also. Here I've chosen my switch rod again to cover this small channel we have out here. It's rather deep out here in a channel that's maybe 10 to 15 meters wide, and this is where the salmon is lying. He's mostly lying on the other side here. I can traditionally downstream fish. This is very good for the fresh fish that are still coming in. But I have a good trick for catching the older ones, and this is a big male I've seen here. He's way over 20 pounds, and I would really like to get a hand into him. I cast directly across the stream, and then I strip in the fly fast. This can many times provoke the older fish to strike. I cast directly across the stream, mend down, and then I just strip it in fast. Sometimes you will see the salmon come flying up from the water, breaking the surface very hard. Very aggressive takes.
For this technique, Nils is using a weighted fly, which he can retrieve very fast without breaking the surface.
Ja, godt op, nu sgu. Fin og blank.
So good to me. Now I need a little time alone. This year's been the very worst I've known. My island dream keeps me safe and warm.
We're standing here at the Krupa pool, and today we have very bright weather, no wind, sun, and very clear water. This is quite difficult circumstances to catch a salmon.
Once again, Nils will cast directly across the stream and strip it fast.
So what I plan to do now, I'm gonna go low here along the bank and cast across the stream with a green barren fly and strip it in quite hard to give them a short time to react to the fly. Instead of having a fly coming down slow now in this clear water, then they will have more time to think of it. Here, just strip it in fast, they have to react right away. Ja. God fisk! Woohoo! Det er en stor, den her. Big one. Yes. Det er en af dem, man ikke kan holde. Woohoo! What a fish! The hook might pull. Jeg kan slet ikke gøre noget. It goes down and you can't really move it. Can't get him up. He just does what he wants. Why do you want to go there?
Nils wades across the river to land the fish on the opposite side, where the water's lower. Lidt nedstrøms igen. Yes! An 11.8 kilo, 106 centimeter long salmon.